Today we are going to be working side by side to create a professional logo. My name is Martin Chinemere and I'm your graphic design instructor at Vipro Masterclass. In this tutorial today, you're going to be learning how to use some shaping functions on objects such like trim, weld, combine, intersect, group on group, and then we are going to learn how to create a long logo shadow. If you've not subscribed to this channel, make sure you do so right now and don't forget to hit the notification button. Now, without wasting much of our time, let's get started. What we are using today is Coreldraw X7 program. Now, the tools we are going to use mostly in this project are circle, that's the ellipse tool to create circle, and then the rectangle tool to create a rectangle. First, we'll create a circle. Now, we'll create a circle by using our ellipse tool. But then to create a circle, we have to hold down our control tool to be able to create a circle. Else, without holding down your control tool, you can create an ellipse, but that's not what we wanted. Now we're going to be having 5 different circles. In other words, you click the existing circle, move to a different direction, and right click before releasing your hand for the both of them. Now, to achieve those ones, just like I said, we are going to be having like 5. To achieve the rest, you do your Ctrl R into 4 so that you have your complete 5. Beautiful. Now, for the first one, we press P to align to the center of the page. Let's not forget, while I was using this page, I created this page using a dimension of 10 inches height and 10 inches width. So, but then our circles are going to be using a different dimension. So the first circle, we are going to be using 6.5. So you come to your object size and change the width and the height. So the first one, like we said, we're going to be using 6.5 inches. Then the height to 6.5 inches. And then you hit your enter key. Then for the second circle, we are going to be having 6.3 inches. 6.3 inches, just like the first one, then 6.3 inches for height too, and then you hit enter. Now, outside that, we are going to be having the next one, which is our 6 inches. 6 inches height and 6 inches width. Then the next one, we are going to be having 3.5 inches, because we are supposed to be having all through 5 circle. So the next one is 3.5 inch circle. That's between height and width. 3.5 and then 3.5. Then the next one is our 3 inches, the height, 2 inches, the height, and then 2 inches, the width. So these are our 5 circles. Now, we are going to align all this to be in the sun. How do we do that? Once we select all these circles and press P, automatically everything is aligned to both the center of the page. Now, if you don't want to use this particular way, probably you want to take it one by one, we undo, and then one by one, we select the first one you want to align to the next one, and then holding down your shift key, you select the next circle, and then press on your keyboard E and C. E meaning center of the page, just like C. Then, just like how we do the same thing in all these ones, you select with your shift and then EC, just like that. But then for us to be more faster, I have to select all of them and press P so that it takes center of the page. Now we have our 5 circles. The idea is this circle here is 3.5 inches, like we see here. Then the next circle inside is 2 inches. So the difference, the interval between 2 inches and 3.5 inches is 1.5 inches. Now, because it is a circle pasted inside another circle, so they share equal on the both sides, both the right, width, up and down. So they share it. So we have 7.5 this way, 7.5 this way, and then 7.5 up, 7.5 down, for us to share the space at the same time. Now, the first thing we do is this: the next thing we do, is to create a rectangle. Because we have known that from this interval to this interval is 7.5, we are going to create a rectangle using our rectangular tool. And once we create that rectangle tool, we are going to use 0.75 as our, because we have a 7.75 interval, 0.75 for the width, and then for the height we're going to be using 4 inches, which is for the height 4 inches. We are going to, just like we had the next, click, hold, drag, and then right click and release the both mouse button for you to create a duplicate. Now the next thing we are going to do here, now we have the first one which we created was 0.75 and then 4 inches, because we are going to use it there. The next one we're going to do is to have 0.2 inches, 0.2 inches by 3.4. So we create 0.2 inches by height 3.4. I know you might be asking, why are we using all these things? Don't worry, it's the dimensions that can help us to actualize whatever thing we want here. Now, having created our circle and our rectangle, the next thing we need is just a line. We create our line by using, we have several tools we can use to create our line here, but now we want to use the freehand tool. Now the freehand tool we use, then holding down our control key to have an angle on a straight line, we click and then move your mouse and click to have the line. Now we have created this line. The idea of us having this line is for us to be able to determine the center of the circle, because it will allow us to place very well our rectangles. Now once we have done that, we select back our pick tool. First, select the line which we have created, and the next thing we do is to hold down our shift and select any of the circles, and then EC, just like we did, to move to the center of the circle. Now on this rectangle, we are going to add our radius, that's the corner radius. We're going to add our corner radius, but then I wanted us to have the corner radius just on the left down side of the rectangle. In other words, for us to do that, we have to unlock, because here it's locked already. Now if it is locked, see what happens. Once you select a particular radius, let's say 25, automatically it applies to every part, the right, the left, the left down and the right down. So for us not to have this mistake, because we are only applying the radius on one, we have to unlock. Now we unlock by clicking on the key icon there. So once we do that, then we can apply to one particular, that's the left down of the distance, 0.25 or 0.25, and hit our enter key. Once we do that, we have had what we wanted. Now what we have here is not enough, so we want to increase. So we increase, let's say we get to 0.5, that's 0.5 radius. Yes, something like this is okay, we can use this. If you want still, you can keep increasing by having the radio buttons here. The upper one increases, whereas the lower one reduces. So let's keep increasing. So you see, at the point we get to this 0.5, 0.75. So we have the radius on the left corner side of the top of the, below the rectangle shape we created. Now, what is the essence of the line, one might ask, we created? The line is now going to help us to align each and every one of this rectangle to the alignment we wanted them. First, we wanted it to be aligned at the left side of this circle here. So what do? We select the rectangle first, holding down our shift key, and then select the circle we want to align to, and then press left, that is L. Once we press L, we have aligned to the left side of the circle we created. Now releasing your selection, and then again select the rectangle we have created, holding down your shift key, select the line, and then press T, which is top, which means align to the top side of this line. We have had what we wanted there. Same thing goes to the other one. First, we have to create our radius, corner radius on the left side. So we So for us to achieve that, our angle here says, our size here says 0.2 width, and then we're not talking about the height, which is 3.4 now. So let's turn our left corner side of the radius to 0.2 width. Once we have that, this is what we'll have. So we're still going to do the thing we did before in the alignment. Now what do? We align again. How do we align? But now we're going to align on the innermost circle. And how we do that is, first we select the rectangle we've created, hold down our shift key and select the innermost circle, and then align to the left side. Just like we had before, select the rectangle tool again, and then select the line and press T to align to the top part of the design. Then we no longer need this line. Whatever we wanted to achieve with this line has been achieved. Now, we want to create the P kind of. Then the next thing we do is we weld together. We weld together. Welding together is like joining two objects and leaving no space. In other words, we join together the two objects. They are such that they becomes one. Now, we want to join this circle and this rectangle, which we have created before. Now, what do? Select any of them first. Rectangle, hold down your shift key, select the circle, and then this is the icon from the property bar here. You can see the icon here that says weld. It is used to combine objects into single curve object with a single field and outline. Now, we can try to use this icon on the property bar here, or we go to our objects, and on our object menu, we locate shaping. From shaping, then we can click on weld. In other words, the both objects have no longer differences. They are now as one object. We have achieved that. That's the same thing we are going to do on this other second rectangle. Holding the rectangle, clicking on selecting the rectangle first, holding down our shift key, and then selecting this circle inside, and then we click on weld. Once we weld, we've welded them together, it becomes one. So it has one fill and one object, one fill and one outline. Now, once we have done that, we've been able to achieve what we wanted there. The next thing is this: we have 5 circles, which this one and this one have been used to create the P kind of like shape. Now the next one we have is this, and the 4th one, and then the 5th one, which is this. Now we want to match this, the first outer layer here and the second outer layer of the circle. We want to combine them together such that they become one fill. In this case, we're not going to be using welding because we want to combine. Now, what does combine to help us achieve here? We combine such that this and this create a shape such that only inside can be filled. Where they both of them meet becomes the fill, and then these spaces where they are not, they didn't meet, becomes an open space. So what do? We select first the outer circle, holding on our shift key, we select the second circle. Then we have to combine by using the icon, the combine icon on our property bar. This bar is called the property bar. We use the combine icon on our property bar, or we can still use our object menu and then locate shaping and click on combine. Combine. Our combine is not here. We can use our Ctrl L or this combine from the object menu. So we combine. Now that we have combined, this is what we have. Just like I told you before, where the both of them meet and create that shape. So it's no longer a circle. In other words, if we add fill, this is what we're going to see. Unlike when we add fill to this place and see something like this. So, but this is not what we're doing now. So undo, undo, and then undo to be back. Now the next thing we do is to start our trimming. What does trimming helps us achieve here? Because in this space, we do not have space here. In other words, every of these objects are clustered between themselves. You can call it the superimpose. You can say the, yes, whatever they mean. Now, we want this place to have a genuine, we want to trim this P from these other objects we have here. So what do? First, we select this circle that we have merged. We have welded together with our first rectangle, And then holding down our shift key, we select this circle and then click on trim. This is the trim icon, or just like again like we did before, click on the object menu, locate your shaping and select trim. Now if you watch closely, it has trimmed that first circle. As such, there is no longer line here. The circle did no longer pass through. Now once we have achieved that, you click out, select the circle, this object again, and then with holding down your shift key, select the outer one and then click on your trim, which is this. We have achieved that here. Once we have achieved that, the idea is such that we have something like this, and then we have something like this. You see, it's an open space. We have the space for the P-like shape to manifest its effect there. So let's undo us. The next thing we're going to do again is to use this to actualize the same trimming on the other objects. Now how do we do that? Holding down our shift key, selecting this first and then trim. We have had that there, holding down, select and trim 2. We've had that, holding down, select and trim 2 again. We've had that, wonderful. So in other words, every of these objects can bear their different color dependent on how you wish. This can be our orange. The P, we can decide to give our cyan. Don't mind my coloring, I'm just using it to illustrate. The inner P, we can decide to give red. Then the outer circle we've combined together, we can decide to give our sky blue or any form of blue. So you see, the idea is so that we can be able to give all of them colors, assuming we want to color differently from the other. So it becomes objects of them on its own. Each and every one of them becomes an object of its own, but we're not coloring. So let's remove the fill color that we have applied. We do that by clicking on the no fill from the color palette. This is what we have. Next thing we do is to group. This is what it is. You remember in this project, we are talking about being able to learn how to produce our long logo shadows. Now this is the logo, and then we will now have to create the medium through which we apply our long logo shadows. So let's delete this line as we don't need it again. The next thing we're going to create is another circle, because I decided to use circle. Holding down your control key helps you to create a circle. Now because we have had 6.5 as our distance here, and then the page size is 10 by 10 inches, I can decide to use 10 inches as well. But let me say I use 9 inches so that we differentiate between the page size and the circle. So 9 inches for the width and 9 inches for the height. And then press P to be down here. Now I observe now that the 9 inches is closely to what we have. So as such, we need to increase. Let's use 10 inches. 10 inches for the width, 10 inches for the height. Beautiful. This is wonderful. Now, when we give this fill color, let's say we give it like orange. When we give this fill color, we found out that it is on top of the logo we have created already. Now, how do we move this layer beneath every other layers there? You do that by holding down your shift key on the keyboard and pressing page down. Shift key and pressing page down on the keyboard, or you use your objects menu and then get to order and ask it to go to back of layer, such that it moves back of every layer. Because we grouped this thing, they are now like one layer. You know, once you group some people together, they become one association, they become one layer, they become one, irrespective of their differences. They become one because we group. Remember, we did not weld, we did not trim, we did not intersect, we just group, so they become one layer. So now that we have moved the last circle we created beneath them by using our shift page down on the keyboard or clicking on the objects menu from the menu bar, this is called the menu bar, and then selecting order and then to back of layer. Now let's remove the fill, because that's not what we want to fill here. So once we have achieved that, All right, let's work straight. I want to use blue here. Now let's use blue for this. And once we have given blue for this, let's use white for this layer so that it can depict our logo. And then let's remove, yeah, that's it. Sorry, excuse me. Let's work with that. Now let's remove the outline. Now when you zoom closely, you can still be able to detect the shapes. But if you still want the outline so that you can have a better understanding of what we're going to do now, you can still use it. Now the next thing we do is to apply the long shadow, our long shadow. Now, unlike the conventional shadow tool, which we can get from here, that's the drop shadow tool, that's not what we're going to be using today. We're going to be using our extrude tool. This is our extrude tool. We accessed our extrude tool from our toolbars. This is the toolbar. This bar here is called the tools bar. It's a bar that contains every tool we need to use to work, dependent on what we're doing for the meantime. So now we click and hold down to display the rest. In fact, let me say, any of this logo, any of this icon on the toolbars that have a radio button that pointed down, it means there are other tools under it. So unlike this one, which does not have a radio button down, you don't need to click and hold down to display. But each and every one of these that has a radio button, this small radio button here, once you click and hold, it displays the other tools. You see this one does not have, so it's not displaying. This one does have, it displays. This one does have, just like that. So let's not distract ourselves. So the next thing, we click and hold down to display other tools we have under that. We are going to be using our extrude tool. With this extrude tool, we're going to cast extrude by clicking on the logo we have created and dragging. It has created our extrude. Yes, it has created our extrude. The next thing we do, as simple as that, is to check our extrusion type. Our extrusion type we will have from our property bar. This our property bar works in a dynamic way. Whichever tool you select, it displays the properties that concerns the tool you have selected. If you can remember formerly when we were having our rectangle tool, it displays the property where we put in our size of the width and size of the height. The same thing with our circle tool, that's the ellipse tool. But now we are having our extrude tool. The functions here changes. They moved according to the tool you selected. So it displays the property of the active tool that you have selected. Now, once we are here, the next thing we have to do is to check our extrusion type from here. Now, in this extrusion type, we're going to be selecting this. This is what we're selecting. Once we have this, there are several here. Several here. Do you understand? So anyone you choose, dependent on what you want to achieve at a particular point in time, can help you. Now, in fact, let's use this. Now, once we have had that, the next thing we do is we break apart. Breaking apart is like differentiating the extrusion we have casted from the logo we created before we cast the extrusion. So how do we do that? You can do that easily by holding down your Control key and hitting on K. For those of us that are using Windows, for those of us that are using Mac, you hold down your Command button key on the keyboard and then hit your K. Or you go to your object and then click on Break Extrude Group Apart. Now, once we have done that, we have broken apart. Then you click back at the selection tool and click out. The idea of clicking back at the selection tool and clicking out is for you to deselect, because unlike before, both the logo and this thing is still selected. So now we can select differently the extrusion being casted, and we can select differently the logo. Now, for us to do that, for us to now differentiate, first thing we need to do again is to select the extrusion we have casted, ungroup them such that they are in their different particles, and then we weld them together. Welding them together can allow us to create them, to create, instead of different objects, one particular object in them. So we weld them together. Once we have welded them together, it is now like a one particular, as you can see, one particular object. So undo. Now we cast our color. Now, because I have used blue here, I want to use a darker shade of blue. If you know, like I know how to manipulate your colors, you hold down your shift key on the keyboard and press your F11, function key 11, to display your function, the fill color dialog box, where you can now run your, if you know your percentage. Yes, I can do that, but outside that, you select first the extrusion that we have casted, and then click and hold the blue color we've selected to display different shades of blue, as we can see here. Now I want a darker shade of blue, so let's use this darker shade of blue. I want to select this. Wonderful. So I've selected this. Now once we have selected this, for us to now, of course, we're not going to allow all this our extrusion that is outside the circle we created. So we are going to create another object that is following the guise of the extrusion, but within the circle we have created, which is this blue circle. Now, how do we do that? First, we select our extrusion. Holding down our shift key on the keyboard, we select our circle. So we select our circle, and then we click on intersect. This is the intersect icon on the property bar. Or you go to your object, locate your shaping, and intersect. Click on intersect. Now, if we can remember those days when we used to plot our graph, we say point of intersection. An intersection is where the two angles met. Now, these are not angles, these are objects. What we are saying is this: wherever this object and this object meet, here till here, create a different object. So once we have done that, we have created a new object here that has the position where this our extrusion and this circle meet. You see, now for us to move the same field we have here to the intersect, the object we created by intersection, we just right click, hold, and then drag into that position of the newly created object and allow, and then copy fill here. It takes the fill. So we no longer need this extrusion, we have to delete. We press our F4 on the keyboard to display, to zoom to the page. Now, once we have had it, I know by now you ought to be saying that we are close to what we have. Yes, this is wonderful, this is what we have. But then we wanted to cast some effects that can help us to have a feel of the logo. So now on the logo, which was grouped before, we now ungroup and then remove the outline by right clicking on the no fill on the color palette. The outline is removed. Now for this outer layer here, I would want to give this shade of blue, ice blue, and for this one inside here, I as well would want to give this lighter shade as ice blue, something like this. Now if I still want, or if you still want, depending on the colors you would want, I have to give this a sky blue shade to just differentiate, something like this. You can play with your colors, any dimension or any color you want. Then I select everything and then right click on the no fill to grant no outline color on all of them. This is it. Yes, we have achieved our logo and we have achieved our long logo shadow, but then we will have to fill some effects to make our work sweet. Sometimes the finishing is what interests your audience. Now we have here a plain logo, a plain circle, just like we have here a plain shadow. So F4 to zoom back. Now what do? We click here, that's the circle, and then duplicate. We duplicate what we have. We can achieve that from our edit menu to duplicate, or we can press our use our controls on the keyboard, which is Ctrl D. So on our edit menu, we duplicate. This is it. The position of the duplicate says set the offset horizontally, vertically. By default, it came with 0.25. Yes, it's good, 0.25, but it will shift. But I wanted it exactly that place. Or let's say use 0.25 or. So it has shifted. In other words, it has shifted from the position. So what do? We repeat what we have before. Holding down, selecting first, selecting the newly created objects, and second, holding down our shift key, and then select the former circle there and use the same alignment, EC, to align. Now we have two layers there that has blue. Now we have to apply transparency. This time our transparency, we are going to use transparency to cast a cool effect on the transparency so that we can be able to generate a textured background in there. So what do? We locate our toolbars and search for our transparency tool. So click hold to check. So these are transparency tool. There's no radio button, so it's not going to hold on anything. Now once we have had this transparency tool activated by selecting, then the property bar, just like I have said, is dynamic. They work according to the active tool you selected, has now changed. Now we have to use our fill, a fountain fill. These are fountain fill. We click on it, okay, because we've not selected cancel. So we have to select on the object we want to apply and then click on fountain fill. By default, it has selected. Once it has selected, we come to our transparency picker here and click on it. There are by default some settings here. This one says personal. Yes, we use the personal. I want to use the personal because the ones I wanted to use is inside here. So this, I'm going to use this. So once I click here, it displays another dialog that can allow me to apply. This icon here means apply. So we click on apply. It has a casted effect, but we're not able to notice this effect. Why? Because it bears the same color with the circle beneath. So I want to move this guy inside. I can always come back to change. Selecting your pick tool and clicking out. Then for us to differentiate, I'll still want to maintain the inner color. That's the color I have for the logo shadow. So click. By right clicking, right click, hold, drag inside and allow, and then copy fill here. Once you have copied the fill here, this is the effect it gives you because we have had it from our transparency tool. Now, but this is not how I want it done. So I have to zoom in and then keep tilting, keep skewing, keep twerking, any language you feel is convenient for you until you actualize that form or that fill you feel you wanted to. Now, once we have had that, you click OK. Now you see the background we have there is no longer a plain background, but it's a textured background. So you see, if you can zoom yours, you see it's a textured background. It's no longer plain. Now we actually created the dialog, just like I said before. Finishing always gives room because when you finish well, it gives another different spice to the work you've done. So now we have our logo, and then we have been able to run our extrude on the logo.
Yeah, we've come to the end of this tutorial, and I believe you learned something today. If you've not subscribed to this channel, you're actually missing a lot as we are making a whole lot of quality free content for you. So subscribe now and hit the notification button below. So very well then, let's see you next time.